I know they didn't just do that. I know for certain they did not just make me like Veldora even more than I already do. I thought that was impossible, and yet here we stand. With that said, though, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Season 2. I barely stumbled through that title. I am so shook by this week's episode. We're here to talk all about episode 23, Returning from the Brink. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, set notifications to all, boop that up snoot if you would be so kind. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Veldora shine! So Veldora absolutely shine. Like, this man, this friggin' guy, this hunk of man, Veldora is... I genuinely did not believe you could make this character more fun than he's been. And this whole core of the season has been a little slow, but anytime Veldora shows up, you're like, hell yes, dude. Like, anytime Veldora shows up, it's like, yes. Yes, like he's so fun. He's so entertaining. So anytime the dude shows up, it's like, yes, man. Like, the fact that he shows up, right? So he shows up, I assumed he showed up maybe because, like, he could sense that something was wrong or something like that. That he showed up because, you know, Rimuru his boy, his brother, right? So he's gonna show up and defend his bro. But nah, he showed up because he's like, what the hell happens next in this manga, right? He was reading some manga, and he's like, Rimuru, you gotta tell me what happens next. Right, and Rimru's like, oh, are you serious? Right, because they're right in the middle of this big fight with friggin' Clayman, and so Rimru's like, are you kidding me? Right, so it's just funny. Like, I just love that Veldora's like, what the hell happens next? Right, he just gets very like concerned about the manga, like it finishes, right? Like, I gotta know what's gonna happen. And Rimru's just like, okay, good. I'm glad you're here. Keep Milliam busy for a bit. She's under some sort of spell from Clayman. And it's funny because I also thought that. We'll get into it in just a sec, but it's interesting that Veldora immediately is like, what? No, Rimuru, listen. And then Rimuru's like, okay, I gotta go. And he's like, no, but Rimuru, damn it. Right, it's just like immediately bolts. And then we see him be like, all right, Milliam, let's dance, right? So Veldora is just like going to dance, and he does make a remark that I think is interesting. He says that Milliam is his oldest brother's daughter, I believe is what he says. So Milliam is Veldora's niece, which is surprising. I don't know how that is. Like, I'll need a little bit more clarification than that, but that is interesting. But Veldora pretty much immediately just clicks that it's like, oh no, it was obvious from the jump that, yeah, that it's not what you think. And Veldora, during the fight, and this is the reason why I say that, like, you couldn't have possibly made me like him more, right? And then they're like, okay. Like, this episode in particular is like, what if we just took things that JoJo likes about slime and we just cram them into a single episode, right? Like, you get, like, the funny character stuff, you get some fun light moments between characters in the middle of some action. And Veldora is sitting there spamming Hadouken, right? Like, over and over, and then Shoryuken, Tatsumaki Senpyaku. Like, just, I'm like, what the hell? This man spams Hadouken, hits her with the Shoryuken, and then lands a Tatsumaki. Well, misses a Tatsumaki, but almost lands a Tatsumaki. If you don't know what a Tatsumaki and a Shoryuken is, you know what a Shoryuken is. I feel like I don't have to tell you what a Shoryuken is. You absolutely know what a Hadouken is. But if you don't know what a Tatsumaki is, it's essentially Ryu's like long distance hit, right? It spins from one side of the screen to the other. It's Ryu's big spin kick. You've probably seen it before. If you don't know who Ryu is, he's the main character from fucking Street Fighter. So that was a surprise. I was like, okay, they made this man like fighting games? Yes. yes indeed. But that's not it. No. He's not just a Ryu main. Veldora's not a Ryu main. Veldora plays Yun because he also hits Milliam with a Tetsu, which is the big shoulder check. And then you've probably been seeing this on screen the whole time. My man, so he does the like Tatsu and then just Kamehame. Like, I was like, there's no way. And then, and again, I was just, losing my shit. You guys know I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I was so hype. I was so excited. Veldora's the king. Just absolute legend, Veldora. Anyway, but even with the Kamehameha, Millium is like, nah, I'm good. Millium's fine. And the reason why is because Millium actually wasn't under Clayman's control at all. Because when Clayman shouts for like, Millium, destroy them all, she's like, now why would I do that? Right? And it's like, oh shit. So I was like, as dumbfounded as Rimuru, and now I feel bad. I feel like I owe Raphael an apology as well. Because I was like, okay, it's clear that it's not a spell. It's clear that it's the stone that has her under the brainwashing, right? I was like, Rimuru, it's the friggin' necklace, my guy. So I'm yelling at Rimuru because I think he's being an idiot. Meanwhile, it turns out I was the idiot. Like, my girl Millium got me good. Damn, okay, right? My compliments to the mangaka, or I guess not the mangaka, the author, because this is a light novel. My compliments to the author because, damn, I genuinely didn't see that coming. That was a hell of a twist. I was like, oh shit, Millium was never under mind control. I totally thought she was. That was like a huge surprise. Millium, absolute legend. Absolute best girl. Millium's the best. Millium's just so fun, right? Like, so to know that she actually was like playing Clayman the whole time was a huge relief, right? Because I thought we were gonna get this whole like new side of Millium where like maybe she was gonna be a bit more darker when she realizes that she killed Carrion. Which, by the way, Carrion's not dead. Hell yeah. I was like, oh shit. I'll admit this one, I kind of saw coming because it's like, no, obviously he's not dead. Like, I thought it would be kind of, like, I was like, maybe he's dead. He might be dead. I'm going to assume he's dead until I'm proven otherwise, but I kind of don't think he's dead. And yeah, he's not dead. Because again, Raphael's like, that guy is weird, right? Like when they look at the lion, right? Like, that guy's weird. And Rimuru has this big funny moment where he realizes that like, oh my god, Carrion was right there the whole time. And Raphael's like, right? Like twice Raphael's like, oh god. Right? And I appreciate that Rimuru apologizes to Raphael though. And you know what? My apologies as well. Raph, my bad. Whoops. But yeah, Carrion lives. Carrion also rightfully points out that Millium kind of destroyed his kingdom and toyed with him essentially of her own free will. And she's like, I had to trick Clayman. And it's like, in fairness, Clayman is a very difficult man to trick. So, yeah, you know, like, she's not wrong. But I was like, yeah, Millium, that's kind of fucked up. That's a little weird that she just destroyed my man's kingdom and essentially nearly killed him of her own free will. Like, that's a bit of a yikes. And Frey also, like, Frey being in on it too is like, that's a little weird, but they had to do it, right? You know they had to do it to him. They had to trick Clayman, so I understand. But yeah, Millium, by the way, also pressuring Clayman when he says, like, he gave me the stone that was supposed to put her under my spell, and Millium's like, who the hell is he? Right? Like, it's like all the demon lords are starting to piece together, like, who is this he? Who is this other person? Right? Who helped you revive this, like, the other demon lord guy? Like, what is going on, essentially, right? Like, even Millium is picking up on this, because Rimuru points out, like, he said he, right? And so it's like, okay, there is someone pulling the strings, and Millium also calls out, like, who is he? Right? And we'll get into all the Clayman stuff and who is he in just a sec, but I do want to mention very, very quickly, Beretta, because there is, like, some stuff with Beretta and that fox that I just want to quickly address. I really like Beretta. We don't get enough of her, but Beretta's really cool. She pretty much very quickly makes, like, insanely fast work of Clayman's finest work, right? Like, when we see her, she's already dismantled the friggin' thing. It'd be funny if she, like, rebuilds him and she gets an assistant. That'd be kind of cool. Like, the assistant has an assistant. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool. But, like, she does make very quick work. We don't actually get to see the fight. Right, Beretta just immediately makes quick work of Clayman's finest work. And also brings up the fact that she's kind of hoping that once all this is done, that she and Remorous might be able to live in Tempest with Rimuru, which would mean there are 2 Demon Lords living in Tempest, and a dragon, which is kind of crazy. But, so Tempest would have several people living there. And points out that if she lives in Tempest with Remorous, then Beretta could actually still prove useful to Rimuru, even though she's serving Remorous, which is what Guy had told her. Like, listen, if you're gonna do this, then you have to serve Remorous after this. You can't be serving 2 separate people at the same time. That's a conflict of interest, my girl, right? So Guy just, rightfully pointing out, like, you can't really do this. Also, comment section from last week, when I mentioned Guy. Everyone was like, yeah, understandable, right? Because when I was like, I don't know if I really like that, people are like, yeah, you'll like Guy. And so I was like, okay, cool. And I do get that vibe, because I said last week that I have a feeling I'll like Guy, I just didn't like that scene that much. And most of the comment section was like, yeah, right? Like, that scene's a little, like, yeah, it seems like he's being a dick, but he's not. And you'll like Guy, and I do feel like I'm gonna. The comment section is also telling me that I'm gonna like Leon, which I kind of don't believe, but we'll see. I'm not a big fan of his. The blonde guy with the long hair, not a big fan of his, because I know what he did, so not a big fan. But yeah, I'm with Rimuru on that one. That guy's got to get his ass kicked at some point. They're gonna scrap at some point. But the comment section is also trying to tell me that he's also cool later. Yeah, stop telling me things. Stop telling me things. But yeah, I thought the Beretta scene was cool. The Fox was cool too. I guess, is that supposed to be Ranga's gonna get like another addition to the wolf pack? That like fox spirit that was also being tormented by Clayman. Rimuru was kind in that scene as well, saving her. But yeah, the big takeaway for me from the one-off stuff that I don't really have a whole lot of time to mention is, yeah, some stuff with Guy, some stuff with Beretta, some stuff with Fox. That's cool. Anyway, let's talk about Clayman now. So yeah, Clayman, yikes, ends the episode looking like a friggin' monster, but spends most of the episode getting his ass kicked. Shion had basically been tiring Clayman out for most of the fight. When we cut back to them, like, Clayman's like pretty exhausted, and Shion's just like, man, you are not worth my time. And Koyasu's acting, by the way, just on point as ever. Man just kills it as Clayman. But like, yeah, he's such a good actor. But he brings it on point. Like he's really on point. Like he really brings it for most of the episode. And Shion spends most of the time sort of like toying with the guy, right? She's not like really impressed by Clayman. And to be fair, like, she wouldn't be, because like I feel like some people are gonna find that sort of like underwhelming that Shion's the one who like basically takes out Clayman for the most part up until like the end of the episode. For me, that just makes sense, right? Because like that's kind of who Clayman is, right? Like he's not especially powerful. His thing was that he was clever. So for me, it's like, yeah, I totally buy that Shion would kick his ass, right? So I'm like, yeah, I buy that. And she does. She like whoopeth his ass. And also, by the way, Shion do be looking good. A few points during this fight. When she gets wrapped up in the demon marionette, she do be looking fine. But Clayman has like a few transformations. He has two, right? Because he has like that big monstrous transformation, which kind of made me feel like Zarboni. You know, like, again, another Dragon Ball reference this week, but like, probably not on purpose, but it did give me like Zarbon vibes, where he turns into like, he's this pretty boy who turns into a monster. But yeah, like the animation in general, during the Shion versus Clayman, and also Clayman's awakening as well, just looks stunning. And even the fight with Millium and Veldora. But I'm mentioning it here because, again, the Clayman versus Shion fight and Clayman's big downfall, a lot of the moments, those moments in this episode, like when Shion like chops up Clayman's arms and everything, like a lot of the action is very like stretchy. Like a lot of the limbs like sort of stretch in really interesting ways to sell impact, and a lot of the hits are like heavy. Like there's moments where during the fight with like Millium and Veldora, those hits, like, they are heavy, like boom, boom, right? They're not slaps, like they're not a fist. It's not fist impacting with skin. It's like two mountains colliding, right? Like it feels like boom, like every hit feels heavy. Whereas with Shion and Clayman, like those hits, like the sound effects feel like boom, like so you hear the slices of the sword and everything, right? Like, and the way they stretch, like both fights, the way the limbs stretch visually on screen, it feels sort of like, and again, to reference Dragon Ball again, I don't know how many of you guys saw Super, but there's a fight in Super between Goku and 17 during the sunset, and the limbs like stretch to really sell impact, and they look great. And it does the same thing here. Like, the way the limbs stretch, like, really sell the impact. It's just super cool. But, again, you know, not here to be Captain Animation. I'm here to talk about Clayman. And Clayman... Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Clayman actually kind of made me feel bad for him for, like, a half a second. Because, like, he gets so destroyed. Right? Like, I'm talking, like, this is embarrassing. This man gets embarrassed. As he should, right? Like, this is probably one of the most satisfying moments of, like, a villain getting their comeuppance in an isekai for me. I'm sure people are going to point to, like, but what about Shield Hero? I didn't like Shield Hero, so I didn't get that far. But I'm sure that was satisfying as well. But for me, this is so satisfying to see Clayman finally get his comeuppance. And see him have that moment where, like, he has this, like, sinking feeling where he's thinking about his master, like the other demon lord, and he's thinking about how he can't die here. And that moment triggers his awakening, and he starts to transform, and that's when Rimuru decides, like, he's gonna have to pretty much solo Clayman, which is a crazy, crazy moment. I love that scene. Like, where Rimuru's like, alright, like, Rimuru walks towards Clayman, and is like, all right, I guess we're gonna dance, right? And it's such a sick moment. It just looks cool. But I do think it's interesting seeing Rimuru walking towards Clayman as Rimuru says, like, I have to prove to these people that, like, these other demon lords, that I am worthy of the title. We both claim to be demon lords, but neither of us have proven it yet. So this is the big test, right? So it's like, that's kind of cool, right? Like, this is Rimuru just saying, like, this is where I prove to them, like, that I'm worthy of the title. And Rimuru just saunters up, and it's gonna be him and Clayman next week. I assume in the finale? I believe next week is the finale. I think so. I don't super know. It's either next week or the week after. Either this coming week is the finale or the penultimate episode. Either way, it's gonna be pretty sick. And I just love that shot of Rimuru walking towards Clayman. It kind of looks like a Dark Souls moment. But it's sick. And also, I would be remiss not to mention the fact that I literally almost forgot to mention this. That Clayman essentially doesn't reveal, but like through flashbacks that he's having, reveals to the audience who the he is that likely gave him the pendant that he was supposed to use on Millium, and it's Yuki, the Kirito-looking dude, the other isekai guy. Yeah, Yuki. Okay, so probably the worst kept secret. In fact, we might have even known about it. I'm not gonna lie, I've known about Yuki since he showed up. It was spoiled for me in the comments, so I've known about Yuki forever, so I can't even remember if that was a spoiler or not. If we knew before or not, I really don't remember. I'm not gonna lie, Yuki as a character, I just find really underwhelming. So I was like, I don't really care, right? Like when they're like, it's Yuki, I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, I care more about Clayman than I do about Yuki. Maybe I'll care more about Yuki next season. But for right now, I'm like, I don't super care, because he's mostly been in the shadows or a character who's been on screen. Like I know that Yuki's like the leader of like the guild hall or whatever, so it's like, oh, we've been betrayed, oh no, right? But it's like, I mean, we kind of, like that one dude who said like, there's a mole within the guild, and it's like, okay, like it's probably fucking Yuki, right? So like, maybe we knew back then. Did we know then? I don't remember. I remember that episode of Rimuru figuring out that somebody's like betrayed him. But I don't remember if they specifically say that it was Yuki. I don't know. What I do know is like, yeah, that's not a surprise. It's the dude from the guild hall. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's the only thing about the episode that I was like, oh, I don't remember if that was already told to us or not. I don't really care. Like, that was the one part of the episode that I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's neat. I don't super care. I am more interested in seeing Rimuru whoop Clayman's ass, right? For all the punishment he put Millium through. Millium had to sit there and take it? Oh my god, please kick his ass. Please kick his ass on behalf of Best Girl. Whoopeth. Whoopeth. the ass of Clayman, I'd certainly appreciate it. I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys. I almost called you Chad because I'm used to streaming these days. I don't know about you guys, comment section, but I want to see him whoopeth the ass of Clayman. But I think I'm gonna end the video here. And there you have it, everyone. That is this week's video, so I certainly hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot and share if you care. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you would like to see more content from yours truly. And before we go, as always, I have to give a big thank you to my wonderful masters who help support this endeavor either by joining us on Patreon or by hitting that join button right beside the sub button to join as a member of the channel. So I would like to thank this month's Masters of Masters, Izevi, Elizabeth Just Elizabeth, Jeremy P, Asaki VT, Jake Ryan23, Matt87 Eagle, Shiorans, Stephen G, and Tristan G. Thank you all so much for being especially generous this month. I sincerely appreciate it. A huge thank you once again goes to our masters, and as a reminder, if you would like to join our masters, then be sure to check out that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, or you can check out the join button right beside the sub button to join as a member of the channel and get a nifty badge next to your name. Either way, it is sincerely appreciated. And with that said, it is time for me to end today's video, but before we go, as always, clean your room. It's filthy.